The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam by Edward Fitzgerald. Born in 1809 in Suffolk, England, into one of his country's wealthiest families, Fitzgerald studied literature at Trinity College, Cambridge, and later at Oxford. His interests were in freely translating ancient texts. A close friend and scholar of Persian literature introduced him to the quatrains of Omar Khayyam's Rubaiyat. Fitzgerald's imperfect translation, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, became much loved by the reading public and Fitzgerald's life work. He died in his sleep in 1883. His grave is in Bulge, Suffolk. Wake, for the sun who's scattered into flight. The stars before him from the field of night, drives night along with them from heaven, and strikes the Sultan's turret with a shaft of light. Before the phantom of false morning died, methought a voice within the tavern cried, when all the temple was prepared within, why nods the drowsy worshipper outside? And as the cock crew, those who stood before the tavern shouted, open then the door. You know how little while we have to stay, and once departed, may return no more. Now the new year, reviving old desires, the thoughtful soul of solitude retires, where the white hand of Moses on the bow puts out, and Jesus from the grounds aspires. Iram indeed is gone with all the rows, and Jamshid's 7-ring cup where no one knows, but still a ruby kindles in the vine, and many a garden by the water flows. And David's lips are locked, but in divine, high-piping piety with wine, 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 red wine, the nightingale cries to the rose, that sallow cheek of hers, too incarnadine. Come, fill the cup, and in the fire of spring, your winter garment of repentance fling. The bird of time has but a little way to flutter, and the bird is on the wing. Whether at Maspur or Babylon, whether the cup was sweet or bitter run, the wine of life keeps oozing drop by drop. The leaves of life keep falling one by one. Each morn 1,000 rose brings, you say. Yes, but where leaves the rose of yesterday? And this first summer month that brings the rose shall take Jamshid and Calico Bat away. Well, let it take them. What have we to do with Calico Bat the Great or Calicorsu? Let Zal and Rustum bluster as they will, or had him called a supper, heed not you. With me along the strip of herbage strewn that just divides the desert from the sun, where names of slave and sultan are forgotten, and peace to Melmed on his golden throne. A book of verses underneath the bow, a jug of wine, a loaf of bread, and thou besides me singing in the wilderness, O wilderness where paradise enamel. Some in the glories of this world, and some sigh for the prophet's paradise to come. Ah, take the cash, and let the credit go, not heed the rumble of a distant drum. Look to the blowing rose above us, lo, laughing, she says, into the world I blow. At once the silken tassel of my purse tear, and its treasure on the garden throw. And those who husbanded the golden grain, and those who flung it to the winds like rain, alike to no such arrayed earth are termed as buried once, men were dug up again. The worldly hope men set their hearts upon turns ashes, or it prospers and anon, like snow upon the desert's dusty face, lightning a little hour or two is gone. Think, in this battered caravanserai, whose portals are all tonight, night and day, how Sultan after Sultan with his pomp, a bow in his destined hour, and went his way. They say the lion and the lizard keep the courts where Jeremy gloried and drank deep, and Bahram, the great hunter, the wild ass stamps o'er his head, but cannot break his sleep. I sometimes think that never blows so red the rose as where some buried Caesar bled, that every hyacinth the garden wears dropped in her lap from some once lovely head, and the reviving herb whose tender green pledges the river lip on which we lean. Ah, lean not it lightly, for who knows from what once lovely lip is springs unseen. Ah, my beloved, fill the cup that clears the day of past regret and future fears. Tomorrow, why tomorrow I may be myself with yesterday's 7,000 years. For some we loved, the loveliest and the best, that from his vintage rolling time have pressed, have drunk their cup a round or two before, one by one crept silently to rest. And we that now make merry in the room, they left in summer dresses in new plume, ourselves must we beneath the couch of earth descend, ourselves to make a couch for whom? Ah, make the most of what we yet may spend, before we too into the dust descend. Dust into dust, and under dust to lie, sans wine, sans song, sans singer, and sans end, alike for those who for today prepare, and those that after some tomorrow spare. A must end with the terror of darkness cries. Fools, your reward is neither here nor there. Why, all the saints and sages who discussed of the two worlds so wisely, they are thrust like foolish prophets forth. Their words to scorn are scattered, and their mouths are stopped with dust. Myself, when young, did equally frequent Doctor and Saint, and heard great argument about it and about, but evermore came out by the same door where I went in. With them the seed of wisdom did I sow, and with mine own hand wrought it to make it grow. And this was all the harvest that I reaped. I came like water, and like wind I go into the universe, and why not knowing, know whence like water willy-nilly flowing, and out of it as wind along the waste, I know not whither willy-nilly blowing. What, without asking, hither hurried whence, and without asking, whither hurried hence? Oh, many a cup of this forbidden wine must drown the memory of that insolence. Up from earth's center, through the seventh gate I rose, and on the throne of Saturn sate, and many a knot unraveled by the road, but not the master knot of human fate. There was the door to which I found no key. There was the veil through which I might not see. Some little talk a while of me and thee there was, and then no more of thee and me. Earth could not answer, nor the seas that mourn in flowing purple of their Lord forlorn, nor rolling heaven with all his signs revealed and hidden by the sleeve of night and morn. Then all of thee and me who works behind the veil I lifted up my hands to find, a lamp amid the darkness, and I heard as from without the me within thee blind. Then to the lip of the poor earthen urn I leaned, the secret of my life to learn, and lip to lip it murmured, while you live, drink, for once dead, you never shall return. I think the vessel that with fugitive articulation answered, once did live, and drink, and the passive lip I kissed, how many kisses might it take and give? For I remember stopping, by the way, to watch a potter thumping his wet clay, and withal obliterated tongue it murmured, "Gently, brother, gently pray." And has not such a story from of old down man's successive generations rolled, of such a clod of saturated earth cast by the Maker into human mold? And not a drop that from our cups we throw for earth to drink of, but lay still below, to quench the fire of anguish in some eye, there hidden far beneath and long ago. And then the tulip for her morning sup, heavenly vintage from the soil, look up. Do you devoutly do the like still in heaven, to earth invert you like an empty cup? Perplex no more with human or divine, tomorrow's tangle to the winds resign, and lose your fingers in the tresses of the super slender mister of wine. And if the wine you drink, the lip you press, end in what all begins and ends in yes, think then you are today with yesterday you were tomorrow you shall not be less. So when the angel of the dark will drink, at last shall find you by the river brink, and offering his cup invite your soul forth to your lips to quaff you shall not shrink. Why if your soul can fling the dust aside, and naked on the dark heaven ride, were it not a shame for him in the stake carcase crippled to abide. 'Tis but a tent where takes his one day's rest, a sultan to the realm of death addressed. The sultan rises in the dark, Farash strikes and prepares it for another guest. In fear, not less existence, closing your account and mine, should know the like no more. The eternal Saki from that bowl has poured millions of bubbles like us, and will pour, when you and I behind the veil are past. Oh, but the long, long while the world shall last, which of our coming and departure heeds, as the sea's self should heed a pebble cast, a moment's halt, a momentary taste, of being from the well amid the waste, and lo, the phantom cavern had reached the nothing it set out from. Oh, make haste. Would you the spangle of existence spend about the secret, quick about it, friend? A hair perhaps divide the false and true, and upon what prithee may life depend. A hair perhaps divides the false and true, yes, and a single ellipse for the clue. Could you but find it to the treasure house, and whose secret presence, the Grecian veins running quicksilver like a luge for pains, taking all shapes from Na and LA, and changing parasol that he remains.